Hit me with your win. Hello, my little EV muffins, and happy Black Friday. Welcome to News and Views with the award-winning, award-winning EV Café. We are the best online community space for 2023. So says SME News, the 2023 Business Elite Awards. Oh yes, thank you kindly. Anyway, let's move on. This is 30 minutes of what's happening in sustainable transport with expert analysis from the EV Cafe crew, brought to you this week in partnership with the London EV Show. And there are only 4 days to go before we kick off. 4 days. Anyway, morning everybody. Say hello in the chat. Tell us where you're from. That would be really lovely because we want to know where we're getting to, which little parts we are tickling. Now then, today's opinions on a stick are Sam, he's tired. Sarah, she's orange. And Paul, he's robbing banks. So grab a cuppa and plug in to what's happening in clean transport this week, because we're going to talk about MPs calling to incentivise the EV battery supply chain. Truck CO2 reduction targets are backed by the EU, but there's anger at the carbon neutral fuel loophole, and that's going to send Sam over the edge. There are new government-backed EV infrastructure training courses available for local authorities, about time too. LCP, the car park people, have signed a deal with Pogo Charge. The countdown begins. It's only 4 days. Did I mention? 4 days, the London EV show. We'll be talking about that and seeing what's anticipated. And we might throw in a little wobbly at the end, a sixth story, which is the first time we've ever done this. Nissan are to deliver a boost for Sunderland after government EV talks. Very exciting times. Quick reflection on the EVs before we get cracking. The awards were this week. I think all of my colleagues were there, so I got massive FOMO, but brilliant to see one of our sponsors, Zaptec, pick up the best new product, domestic, Power, people we just love, EV Startup of the Year, and the EV Under 30s star as Mark Pierce from our partner and sponsor, Hydrock. Special recognition to Charge Safe and Kate Tyrrell and the team who won an award also. Brilliant, brilliant night. Did you enjoy yourselves, gang?
I did.
Oh, yes.
I loved every second of it. I was very, very honoured to give out the special recognition award to Ian Johnson from Osprey. Special recognition. Luckily, I said it properly on the night, but I got completely killed by somebody who said that I was like a game show host. Who's it gonna be? But I was so excited the first step on the stage that I just.
How very dare anybody suggest we ham it up? Let's move on, shall we? Because she's frozen. The UK government is falling behind competitors and needs to urgently create an attractive environment for electric vehicle battery production in the UK, according to a report by the Business and Trade Committee. The MP's report, called Batteries for Electric Vehicles, that's a really catchy phrase there, or title, warns the UK that it faces a huge gigafactory gap with less battery production capacity than needed for the nation's future needs. If not addressed, this could see automotive production in the UK decline, potentially putting hundreds of thousands of associated jobs at risk. We've seen opportunities come. We've seen opportunities to have gigafactories in the UK go. It's all gone a bit quiet recently. Anybody got any information on what's happening with gigafactories in the UK? There's lots of shaking of heads. Sam?
No, I don't. I know this is a news broadcast, but I've got nothing to give.
That's worrying. Talking of nothing to give,
I
hello,
do,
Paul.
but I'm worried my signal's really bad.
No, you're good again. Go.
Yeah, go, Sarah. Go.
Yeah, they're literally digging up the road outside my house with the Giga people coming in. So speaking of Giga, I did think it was amazing that only a year ago we were talking about how excited we were for the 8,000 jobs and the supply chain jobs and the everything jobs and the fact that someone's going to buy it, then they didn't, then they did. So actually it's really very confusing, but I think there is still a strong appetite to see the UK, particularly sort of industrial land that exists 5 years from now, to be utilised in this way. But it suddenly feels quite far-fetched to me.
I mean, when the Business and Trade Committee raise this profile, if you like, of gigafactories, it is key, and I'm not sure the government are in a very good place to be starting to grab some of these opportunities. We may lose them, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, the thing for me is that, you know, when we look at Volta, for instance, who are now struggling because of a lack of battery provision, we can see that there is a real opportunity, right, to invest in this industry and be world leading. We have great people in this country, and that is going to make a difference. And so I just think we do need to double down on getting this done, whoever does it, but somebody needs to do it, and we need to do it quickly and tap into what must be quite a pool of people that are able to do this stuff.
Paul, can I
shout out to Ron Godfrey, John, who just put in the chat, Nissan on Times Radio today said that they were building 3 gigafactories, one for each new EV to be built in the UK, which is great stats. So thank you for that. Thanks for sharing that.
Article 6, we'll talk about that in a little more detail. So thank you very much indeed. What's really interesting to me is I read yesterday that Proterra, who were the supplier of the battery technology to Volta, have been bought by Volvo. And I wonder if that may breathe some life into the Volta project, Paul.
There is every chance, yeah. I think it will come back as a very different beast. It's going to be a much leaner, probably much lower volume in the short term beast as it goes forward. But I do think there is hope. I am hearing that, and we do hope to see the Volta trucks rolling off the line from Steyr Automotive in Austria and into service in our inner cities, with the whole mentality of truck as a service or transport as a service coming to life through possibly the Volta brand or possibly a sister brand alongside of it. So there's lots of good stuff that could be coming.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate that. Let's say hello to a few people before we move on, because we're about to get Sam Frothy. Love this moment. But anyway, let's say hello to Kirsty Robinson, Esther Jones from the AA, Amy Phillips, Andrew Walker. Good morning. A LinkedIn user. Greetings. Ben McDonald, Jim Blair from Arnold Clark, Gemma Lovett from Barbados. Hope you're well. Ashley Bannister, Marcus Wren, Dan Martin. Morning, Dan. Mark Sherry Brennan, Paul Bevan, another LinkedIn user from the UK. Bless you. Mark is in sunny Manchester. Tim Morris, Europe Car. Hello, geezer. Saw you at the rugby. Andrew Walker, we've mentioned you. Jason Gill. Hello, Martin Hale from Quello. Hitton Sompal. Oh, love you, hug you, squeeze you from DLL. Sustainable financing for all your friends. David Bushnell. Hello, mate. Joel Priest. Lloyd Allen from Bristol. Hello, geezer. Laura Hustwick Wilkes from Power. They're award winners, you know. Oh, yes. Tristan Dorman, Pam Hanlon. She's from Power. They're award winners, you know. Ron Godfrey, always adding some value. Thank you, Ron. Michelle Breffett. Hello, geezer. Ron Godfrey, Tony Clayton, Michael Barton from Bristol, Richard Price, Jordan Ware. Good golly gosh. Tom Middleditch. He's from Europe Car too. Nick Hulin, Randall, Tiny Smith from Urban Fox. Award-winning Urban Fox. Well done, Randall. Superb job. And nobody's going to argue with you because you're about 6'8". Charlie Gilbert. Good morning. Dan Sewell. Now, we had a wonderful, wonderful chat with Dan yesterday about the Sustainable Road Transport Show, which will be coming from Farnborough next year, and we are absolutely buzzing about that. Varun Gandhi, lovely to see you. Craig Hibbert from EV Civils, lovely to see you. Jamie Fretwell, Mercedes-Benz Trucks. Marvin Samuels. We could go on, but let's read more of the news. The average CO2 emissions of new trucks must be at least 45% lower by 2030, lawmakers in Europe have ruled. The European Parliament has backed the EU Commission's proposed targets to reduce emissions from heavy-duty vehicles. Truck makers will have to cut the average emissions of new freight trucks by 45% in 2030, 65% in 2035, and 90% in 2040, which should result in the near phase-out of diesel trucks. MEPs also said the standards should be extended to cover the 20% of heavy-duty vehicle sales which the Commission had proposed to exempt, such as garbage and construction trucks and small trucks driving in cities. This is good. The EU Parliament, however, has been criticised for allowing trucks running on synthetic fuels and biofuels, stand by Sam, to be counted as climate neutral. Fedor Unterlohner, freight manager at Transport and Environment, said biofuels and e-fuels won't decarbonise heavy-duty vehicles, but they will allow as many diesel trucks as possible to be sold for decades to come. Oil companies have lobbied hard for this loophole to help keep up demand for its fuel. We call on the council to block this lifeline to the fossil fuel industry. So say me. What say you, Sam?
Well, I'm disappointed, John, because you've put this as number 2 on the list. You normally leave it to the last one to make me really cross at the end. But no, I mean, to be honest, I must confess, this is the first that I've read this news article, but it is quite interesting, isn't it? And, biofuels is still burning stuff. And so I can understand why there's such great pushback on this. And something I learned, I was at the Decarbonisation Summit with Motor Transport yesterday presenting, and I learned an awful lot yesterday about trucks and general biofuel patterns and development. And one thing that we did learn is that a tremendous amount of biofuels, such as HVO, hydro-treated vegetable oil, is being used a lot and extensively for the DPD, for example, for their fleet. A huge amount of this fuel is going to be needed to tackle the even harder to decarbonise areas like maritime and aviation. So it's not going to be a silver bullet, because that bullet is going to go to other transport sectors in the long term. And this is a long-term view that you just highlighted with targets 2030, 35 and 40. So it very much is logical to me, it seems, that this needs to be re-evaluated to ensure that we're putting more effort into zero tailpipe solutions, rather than trying to give the oil companies yet another loophole to sell more oil for longer. So yeah, more work to be done by the sounds of it.
Yeah, very much so. Thoughts, Paul? None. Sarah, anything to add?
Oh, it probably does. I know it's awful when you freeze. I'm not sure if I'm frozen or not, but I'll go for it. I mean, this has long since been debated.
Yeah, I mean,
just Google.
Paul, too late. Shush, Paul, stop.
Stop. They just love live. Let's do live. Yay.
Oh,
let's
it's
not record
excellent.
this stuff. Anyway, let's Sarah, anything to add?
Credit to Joe for the Dalek feature. That's really tickled me. That's why I collapsed. I do apologise. I'll be more professional. I would say that it's long since documented that biofuels or synthetic fuels are they've got merit in some way, but the inefficiency, the cost, the knock-on effect of the biological consequences of having to develop the thing in the first place. And you've just got to Google, are they any good? And you just get reams and reams of scientific journals from across the world saying probably not. So that's good enough for me.
Andrew Walker says in the chat, biofuels are often just well gas, which has had carbon credits purchased to offset it. It's not really bio anything. You're so right. Business is going to find ways around this process. And,
that article you cited, John, had a big loophole debate way at the bottom where somebody had said they feel very angry that this loophole is being completely ignored, and they had the opportunity to stand up and say, look, people are still going to squeeze through that loophole. And classic.
Yeah.
Can I just say, John, as well, I also learned another wonderful phrase yesterday from Ollie Crawn, who's a friend of ours from the show, of course, at DPD, who's the motor transport power player #1, which is why he was presenting yesterday. I'm only number 6, but I'm working on that. But he said that they're not looking at offsetting anymore, because as far as they're concerned, it's like paying somebody else to do a diet for you, which is an interesting way of phrasing it.
What a good idea. I hadn't thought of that. I'm going to try that,
Oh,
Sarah.
it does sound good. Let's get on board.
I've paid Sarah to lose weight. Thank you. You've done well. I'm so thin. I'm
Not
a size
doing well.
6. Right, let's move on. A new course upskilling local authority officers in electric vehicle infrastructure knowledge to support the deployment of public EV charge points has been announced. The training has been developed by the Levy support body, including Cenex, Energy Saving Trust and PA Consulting. The government-funded EVI training course will upskill officers as they coordinate the deployment of public charging infrastructure, with the first cohort of learners having already met on the 14th of November to test the course ahead of its full launch in spring of next year. The government's levy fund supports local authorities in England to work with the charge point industry and transform the availability of charging for drivers without off-street parking. And Sarah, that's really the key bit, isn't it? Because let's be honest, we've got public charging on trunk roads and motorways and so on pretty well nailed for an awful lot of the country, but this off-street parking thing is a real challenge and we need to get on with it.
Yeah, again, definitions as well. Sort of off-street being car parks. That's a really great way to unlock potential capacity. But there's lots of loopholes associated with that as well. It's something Pay-Through are working very hard on, is how to unlock the capacity and the potential that already exists. Pre-installed chargers 7 kilowatt or below, which are aging but still functioning, could be a lifeline for somebody locally if they had the sort of proximity. That's great. But until that moment comes, it is important that local authorities aren't blamed all the time, as they seem to be, because they've got this strange situation going on. We've got the rapid infrastructure going into at such a rate of knots that sort of lower AC stuff seems to be taking just as long for lower power. So where's the appetite going to sit? The appetite sits in the opportunity for saving, for utilising energy on the grid when it's no longer not readily available anywhere else. So I'm excited. But Chloe from Cenex spoke at Fleet and Mobility Live, and there's sort of a little bit of resistance among local authorities around it, yet again being their problem to have to upskill. Where's the partnering? Where's the networking at Transport and Energy, with further, faster being the motto? There was lots of sort of questions around what happens when it stalls at a local authority end, and it's not through lack of want or will, it's because they don't have the manpower. So I say this till I'm blue in the face. You can't expect somebody to do job A and then pick up job B and still deliver job A. It's just not fair.
No, but when you have schemes like the levy funding, which allows for the resources to be brought into an organisation, you then start to get into procurement challenges where, oh, you're not on a framework, we can't secure the expert knowledge that we all have in our industry to help make this happen better, faster, cleaner, more efficiently.
More collaboratively. The easiest way to get something done well is to find somebody who can do it well. And yes, you are right. There are so many frameworks to worry about, but they are getting easier to access, particularly focusing on sort of local skills, local availability, local maintenance, and supporting that community. But it's just taking a very long time for something that's ostensibly very easy to do. I mean, AC.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned car parks, Sarah, and it's almost like you've read the script, because our next item is about commercial property firm LCP have partnered with ultra-rapid electric vehicle charge point operator Pogo Charge to install 329 ultra-rapid DC charging units at 89 strategic retail developments in England, Scotland and Wales. And the points will be at LCP and Evolve managed portfolios, with each of the installations fully funded by Pogo. Works due to begin in Q1 2024 and expected to take 18 months to complete. The new installations will be of the Pogo Touch, which offers a power range of 50 to 600 kilowatts, making it one of the fastest charging speeds in the UK. And they're all going into car parks.
I love a car park, me.
Now, 600 kilowatts, Sam, is absolutely massive, but also no use to anybody at the moment.
No, and it won't be of any use to anyone for some considerable amount of time, but maybe that's just the range that they wanted just to give big numbers to. And also, what we also got to be cognizant of is if it's going into retail parks, dwell time is incredibly important, because dwell time dictates how long someone's going to be there and how much power they can distribute into a vehicle. So even though nothing is even close to 600 kilowatts, even if you had a vehicle at 200 kilowatts, if you're going to be there for an hour, then you probably don't need to be sitting on a charger of that level of power. So, I mean, there is clearly a range there of 50 to 600. So it'll be more like the 50s, I suspect, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because I think that's about the right number at this point in time to reflect the type of dwell times that you see in those sort of environments. So, yeah, I mean, it sounds good. So, good luck to them. Hope it works.
Right charger, right place, right time.
Precisely.
Something like that. We've been saying
and you're not stopping to charge. You're charging because you've stopped, because you've gone to the shops. Would you believe it?
He's a marketing man's dream, that boy. And Toby Hiles in the chat. If you want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, go together. Collaboration, we've been banging on about it for so long, and the EV Cafe is just one way that people do collaborate. And we'll be talking about that at the London EV show. The power of community. It is really key to work together. We're not preaching, we're just doing. Shall we move on? In just 7
I just want to say one more thing before you go, John,
go.
about Pogo. I mean, they were at the EVs. Pay-Through was very delighted to be hosting them on our table, so we got to hear really how quickly they've grown. But that complexity around I'm charged because I've stopped thing, I really hope that is the future, and they're giving me a glimpse of that. They're giving me a vision where I might pop to the shops and I might just decide to charge because I might see a charger available because there's so many going in. That's fantastic. But we're still a long way away from that. I hate to say, we did a big long road trip this weekend. Thanks for all the support on LinkedIn about my post on that. but there was a lot of planning involved. But when we got there, they tended to work, so it's fine. But the ones that did fail were what I would call destination charges. So the ones you were relying on at the hotel or the restaurant where you wanted to be for 2 or 3 hours to top up. Those were the ones that died. So rapids continue to be looking really good for the general driving public. I still worry that car parks need rows of reliable ACs as well.
What's really interesting, Richard Hill mentions in the chat, sorry Sam, I'll come to you in a sec.
Right.
Richard Hill said, had a great conversation with the local council this week who are revamping all the car parks and not one EV charger is going to any of the 4 being done. I'm speechless.
Why?
You know, planning requirements. How is this process not including EV chargers? It baffles me. It really does. Sorry, Sam.
Well, it does baffle me. And we've got a huge train station in Cheltenham, which got redeveloped last year, and they have got conduit hidden under the tarmac for charging, but nothing's been done, and it's not going to be done for a long time into the future. So it's almost worse that I know the cables, the conduits under the ground, but they're not going to do anything with it. So hopefully this upskilling point that you made earlier, John, will help upskill people to make better decisions in this particular sphere. My point, actually, Sass completely by coincidence stole my thunder on this, but I'm starting to wonder, is AC getting left behind? Because there is so much provision going in, and not just DC chargers going in, but the smartness of them, the dynamic charging, the smart charging, the auto charge, the plug and charge. There's a tremendous amount of great work, and obviously I'm part of that in terms of grid service contribution to that particular sector. But AC, as we'd learned from our long road trip last weekend, it was the thing that failed almost entirely. Yeah. And I do wonder whether that's starting to, and that will impact the people who don't have driveways, don't have access to off-street parking. If that part of the sector gets left behind, it's only going to suffer those that with on the lower demographics. It's a worry.
Yeah.
I know we've gone down a little bit of a rabbit hole here, John, but it is worth pointing out that AC absolutely, in my opinion, is being left behind because it was the first to run. So you've got so much legacy kit out there, and the whole raising the power to 8.1, whatever it was, negates that entire swathe, that huge estate across the UK, which could be tens of thousands, probably 20 to 30,000 AC chargers in the UK are less than 8 kilowatts, which are now not going to be accessible to the public. They are going to have to be ripped and replaced. That's a terrible fundamental environmental disaster for a start, for the ones that are broken and not maintained. But beyond that, it's just irritating that when you hear people having experiences, it usually boils down to a 7 kilowatt charger somewhere in the corner of a car park that isn't maintained, signposted, looked after. And I just find that distressing. Paythrough has just released a white paper on it, encouraging people to think very carefully about their infrastructure choices moving forward. It's completely free. We had Liz Allen contribute to it and Zaptec contribute to it. We're all singing from the same hymn sheet here. We just need to sing a little bit louder. AC definitely has an affordability card to play for people.
Matthew Ling agrees with you entirely. AC charging is being left behind. The procurement hurdles, the time taken, the ability to install are all barriers. What he also said in another little scene post was he's in drag today in Suffolk. Or was it, hang on a second, on the drag. Not quite sure what you mean by that, Matthew. Anybody got any ideas? No. Right, anyway, let's move on. In just 4 days, London Excel will host the much anticipated London EV Show 2023 from November the 28th to 30th. This event will converge on all things EV, drawing in professionals and unprofessionals like us, industry leaders and enthusiasts alike. The excitement is palpable as the countdown continues, inviting all of those passionate about sustainable transport to be part of this transformative gathering. We talk about collaboration a lot. 10,000 people anticipated to be in London for those 3 days. It is time to get your bum down there. If you have any doubts as to whether EV can work, come and see what's happening at the Excel in London. It's free and you can just pop along and see brilliant speakers, great exhibitors, and every single type of vehicle from last mile delivery, bikes and electric bikes and so on, right the way through. It is a fabulous event that we've been at for the last couple of years. Sarah, you frothing?
I am getting more and more excited, especially having seen who's exhibiting and seeing the EV Café Village take shape, which will be an absolute pleasure. I'm moderating 2 panels on day 1 and then back again on Thursday for our panel. But I just know that it's going to be one of those amazing things where you try to go and see all the exhibitors, but you just get stopped the whole way. So I'm going to try and be there for sort of maximum effort on both of those days. Warning, everyone: you do get free access passes, but if you want to see the actual presentations and seminars, you have to get a different type of pass. I've had lots of people contact me saying, "Oh, I'll come and watch you," and I'm like, "I don't think you can unless you've got a special pass." But ask the exhibitors, because lots of exhibitors will be able to give you one. That the London EV Show has been very generous in allowing you involved to give out one or two of the sort of more access all area passes.
Yeah, Tim Morris from Europe Car, they're going to be on stand ES2. If you are going to be exhibiting, Andrew Walker's exhibiting. If you're going to be exhibiting, chuck it in the chat. Invite people to come and have a chat with you about what you do and how you do it, because we are a community and we need to all pull together. Sam, you're also hosting a session there.
2, I think, yes, as well as ours. So I guess that's 3. Yeah, I mean, I wish London EV Show all the success, and I'll tell you why as well. I mean, history has taught us, economically speaking, that people that invest in marketing and growth during recessions typically do very well out the end when the economics starts to turn in everyone's favour. And these guys started at the very, very tail end of a pandemic, and that was hard graft. They've had to relocate. They've had to work so very, very hard in a time when the world was effectively just coming out of a lockdown stage, and they seem to be growing, and good luck to them, because they started at the hardest time. And I hope that means that, now it will start to accelerate from here. So I wish them the best of luck and looking forward to it.
Oh, good man. Cheeky little 6th item. The giant Japanese car manufacturer Nissan will announce today that it will build new electric Qashqai and Juke models at the Sunderland plant. And we spoke about this earlier, the additional battery gigafactories that are being built by Nissan in the UK. It's a fabulous development. It will safeguard thousands of jobs in the UK. Well done to Nissan. Thank goodness that you have the courage that sometimes our political leaders lack. I think we're done. Sarah, what are you up to the weekend? Anything with Sam?
No, I've got my daughter, so we've got there's a little Cotswold Christmas fair happening tonight, which feels horribly early considering I was jogging in a t-shirt earlier. It's so warm out there, it doesn't feel festive at all. So we've got that, and then I think it's just meeting up with friends and family on Sunday.
And Sam, what are you up to?
I got my little brats this weekend, so we'll have some fun. They've got loads of parties to go to, so I suspect I will be a taxi for most of the weekend.
Kids parties, down with kids parties. No more. If we all just say no more kids parties, we can all not have to go to kids parties. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, and no presents either. Cost a blinking
Definitely
fortune.
not. They've got enough.
Hate, loathing, hate.
Bar humbug while we're at it.
The Grinch is in the house. Whatever happened?
No, I like Christmas. Christmas is fun.
Pam and Power are going to be at the London EV Show. Amy Phillips will be at the EV Cafe Village with Mobilise. We've also got Plug Me In, the AA, Geotab and Vital EV with us. So do come along. Louise Field is exhibiting with Zest. Oh, we love a bit of Zest. And the London Borough of Hackney. Toby Hiles asked which pantos we're performing in. Do you know what? I've always wanted to be a pantomime dame. Anybody else?
Oh, you have to make that happen, John. Can we just all make that happen for you, John? We'll all come and watch. Or how about we wear pantomime dame stuff on our Christmas special EV Cafe webinar on the 20th?
Or we don't.
Or you don't. I will. John will.
Yeah, of course I will. Yeah, right, that's me. I'm off. I've got to start planning my outfit. If you've got any clean transport PR or news stories you'd like us to cover, please send them to us at hello@evcafe.org. Until next Friday, it's goodbye from me. It's goodbye from my lovely colleagues, Sam, Sarah, Paul for trying. Bless you. This has been an EV Cafe production brought to you this week in partnership with the London EV Show. Ben McDonald. Oh, yes, we do. Other sustainability news services are available, but this is just funner. The EV Cafe is truly blessed to be partnered with Geotab, EV Civil Solutions, the AA, Churchill Insurance, Plug Me In, Paythrough, Zaptec, Spiri, Hydrock, Interval, Kershaw and McIntyre Hudson. We are the EV Cafe, supporting the transition to clean transport. Bless you for joining us. Bless you for having your say. And let's enjoy the day, the rest of your weekend, wherever it takes you. Thanks a bunch, everybody. See you soon. Bye.
Cheers, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I always
Oh.
want that music to carry on.
Yeah,
It's really jolly.
Oh, people